Be careful for what you listen to on the internet. Right now, I'm just a guy on the internet telling you just basic information or just a lot of information that may be beneficial to you. But I'm just a guy. Any person that you watch on YouTube can tell you anything. So take everything that you get with a grain of salt. Welcome back, guys. It's Marcus again, here with Moving Forward Initiative, here to talk to you guys about just basic information, conspiracy theories, all of the things that's on the internet at our disposal that we have to be aware of in these days, in these trying times. Before we get started with the video, I want you to like and subscribe down below. So make sure that you smash that like button down below and subscribe so we can get more content out here so you guys can listen to all of my conspiracy theories. Just kidding. Before we get started though with the conspiracy theories, I just want you to understand that the internet is full of great things, and it's a lot of misinformation out there. It's a lot of psyops, as you would call them. And if you don't know what a psyop is, make sure that you Google what a psyop is. It's a very interesting psychological term, but let's get into it. Conspiracy theories and information. Things are not like it used to be back in the day. A lot of information that we used to get back in the day, or that people in general used to get back in the day, took a long time for it to fluctuate from here to there. The game Telephone, if anybody has ever played that game, it's kind of like that, where you have one person start off of a bit of information, and then you have about 30 other people around in a circle. Well, when I used to play it would probably be about 10, but sometimes there would be 30 people. And that information gets distorted as it goes around back to the original person who started that story. And in this day and age, we are able to get information like that. It's interesting. It's way more advanced than back in the day. So now you have to be very much careful with a lot of the information that's being brought to you. So that's why I always say you always have to take everything with a grain of salt. This is the way that I've kind of learned within my own self of how to take heed of information. To give you a backstory on myself, I used to watch videos on YouTube, and I still do, that are in the conspiracy theory kind of field. And take that as you may, but it could be almost any type of conspiracy theory. Back in the day, I would watch things and would question certain things about the information that was being led to us as a society. And some of the conspiracies that I've watched could alter my state of mind as far as how it was being brought to me. Some of the videos that I've watched were more so fear-based. Not all of them. Of course, I've watched a lot of good conspiracy theory videos back in the day and still now that I know that I could take heed in understanding, this is probably real and this is probably fake. And it's where that discernment lies. And that's what we need to get into the topics of talking about today when it comes to conspiracies and information and practicing discernment, taking a grain of salt with every bit of information that we have that is brought to us. And it's really hard in this day and age because, like me, I'm just a guy on YouTube just spitting out information, and you can't trust me because I'm just a guy on YouTube. You're just watching me on a computer or a telephone or a television. I'm just a regular person. I don't know, but I could base things off of certain facts that I may have seen for my own self. And I kind of want to get into the meat and bones of all of that to kind of structure you, to help you decipher through all of the BS that is being brought to us in this day and age. So like I said, with myself, I've seen a lot of conspiracy theory videos on my journey in this lifetime. And some have been fear-based and some have been very much structural, where they can have you question things, but then also give you the facts that are brought to you within the public domain. In the public domain that I mean, it's not just a simple Google search. You could go to the library and back things up with facts. You remember back in the day, well, depending on, where you're from, I know for a fact that in college or even in high school, when you wrote a paper, you had to back certain things up with resources. And that's what I mean when it comes to that. So some things you have to back things up with resources. So if you were to watch a video, sometimes you have to go and dig a little bit deeper and discover for yourself, and also lay the groundwork for your own self. Even some of these theories that are brought to us, some people have probably been there, stood the test of time, or stood in the exact place where most of these conspiracies have evolved from. And that's where you have to know what is real and what is fake through all of the things. It's fun to come up with theories about things, but it's dangerous at the same time. Back when I was learning about a lot of conspiracy theories, or just trying to evolve myself and get information, I was going into places where I would consider now as, oh no, don't trust that person, don't trust that source. So an example would be somebody like on YouTube would be Alex Jones. Alex Jones has spewed a lot of information where it's led him into hot water, where he's had a conspiracy theory about how the federal government back then, it was ran by, while sitting as a president, was Obama, and how President Obama was trying to take guns away from people, and all of these mass shootings had been going on in schools. And the Sandy Hook's one in particular brought to light a conspiracy theory, and I'm not going to say what it is because you can look it up for your own self, but the conspiracy theory was very dark and led to him, in his belief system, in his mind, that President Obama and the federal government were going to take away guns from people. This was all just a hype to bring these kinds of things, to bring in a 1984 Orwellian style authoritarian leadership to the United States. And though the conspiracy theory may not have seemed as far-fetched back then, to me, I get where some people's concerns could be about certain things that are happening in the given moment, in any kind of instance. So the reason why it's good to discern for every bits of information is because not every bit of information that you're getting is going to be true. Alex Jones had an agenda that he was trying to portray to his audience. He had an agenda. And the thing about people is that people will believe almost anything. That's the thing, is that the human psychological, how am I trying to say it? I don't know how I'm trying to say it, but the human psyche is very easy to manipulate sometimes, or easy to believe in things. And that's where things get tricky, because anybody can believe a fake story. Just back in 2020, we had President Donald Trump, who gave conspiracy theories to his audience of people, saying that he won the election, when in fact it was shown that he did lose. He actually ended up losing by a higher majority of voters. And he ran with that conspiracy and led to his believers, his people, his audience, lied to them by saying that this is fake, that this is all just whatever kind of conspiracies that he put out there to his people. And it led to a massive riot, a uprising in people. They were just like, what is going on? And so they stormed the Capitol last month. As I'm recording this is end of February. That was in January 2021, early January. And so where I'm trying to get with this is that he said that there was a conspiracy. But the facts was that people actually showed up to vote. People actually showed up. More people actually showed up to vote this time than the previous election. Because the facts were there. People had gotten older from last election. Last election, people had gotten older and they were able to vote. There were so many variables that led people to the polls. There were so many variables that brought people to the polls to go vote. Now, back in 2016, the opposite happened, to where there was another conspiracy that put President Trump in the office, that Russia did it, and some other thing, I don't remember what it was, but it was just like so many conspiracies on both sides. And that is where the cognitive dissonance and all of the energies that are out there are conflicting with each other. In 2016, Russia did not hack the election. In 2020, nobody threw out ballots. No machine did anything wrong. Nothing happened. Everything worked in its accordance. The wrong thing is that both sides on both spectrums, Republican, Democrat, were spewing out some kind of form of conspiracy. Now, you as the audience is in disarray of not understanding the truth that was brought to you, the facts. That's the issue. And now, you as the audience member is going to try to figure out what in the F happened. Why didn't my president that I voted for, or the person that I voted for, win? Now there must be some conspiracy to it. And that is where stories fail, because both sides of the spectrum are giving you false information. And that is how everything becomes a conspiracy. And it's funny. It's funny in a weird way of how things like this work. And ultimately, the person who can get mad about this is the people who are responsible for the system. The system that we live in right now. The only people who can get mad about this stuff is the people who are creating the perpetual fear and the perpetual not knowing of what the F is going on. You, as the viewer or the listener, can't get mad about the system at play. When the riots happened last month, they can't be mad at what happened, because guess what? They put the lie out there at the end of the day. Now, and I'm not saying it like the lie that was being told from this election, but the lie from both elections. Both sides came up with some kind of conspiracy. One just had more of a backed up sounding conspiracy. And when I say that, I mean the Democrats. The Democrats had a backed conspiracy that sounded believable, where you're just like, maybe Russia did do that. But then the other side had a more comical, like laugh out loud in the face, like clearly you know that that's a lie kind of conspiracy. And it's really just, it's not funny, but it's funny at the same time of how the game is being played. Now, you, as the viewer, have to discern what is real. You have to. You have to be on your toes. You have to be on your toes, your ears, every single part of your body. You have to understand what is at play. Because at the end of the day, all of this is not about me or you. It is about keeping control. It is about keeping control of things so people can't fall apart and distrust that their system that's been brought onto them doesn't work anymore. There is a movie that I'm trying to think of that I remember saying something on the lines of that. Blade Runner 24. Just to give a shameless little movie plug on that. It's a really, really great movie. But in the movie, just to give you a little bit of a piece of what happened in the movie, but there's a human character who is a police chief. She's a police chief, and like I said, she's a human character. And then the opposite, of course, in these movies are androids. And the androids are kind of treated like slaves. And the way that she says that there is a wall up that she has to maintain about information that has been brought to an android who works for her, she has to maintain that wall, the level of secrecy, the level of information, to not bring the wall down. Because if the wall comes down, then there will be revolution. That is the thing. And that is what they are trying to keep you from not knowing. Because if you knew the truth, then you would revolt against the system. So you have to keep up a lie. That's the funny part. And I really don't mean to like laugh at it like that. I'm just more so laughing at it because it really is a deep dive on how to keep a society asleep, how to keep a society from not rising up against a system that doesn't really work for them. It doesn't work for any of us. It only works for people who have the power, people who know the conspiracies, who know the information. Because if you know the information and you know the knowledge, then guess what? You have all of the power in the world. You don't need money. That's the thing. And that's what's keeping us asleep. Money, material things. These are the things that keep us in a perpetual sleep from not breaking the system, from not turning things into a last January, a January 6th, 2021. Now, even though that the way that they went about it was honestly just dumb, just completely just dumb. And I don't mean to offend anybody, but at the same time, I do. Because it was honestly just stupid, to be honest. Because the conspiracy behind it was just really just dumb. So, anyway, what I'm trying to get to you when it comes to how all of this is ran is it's based off of your believability. But practice great discernment for every single thing. What I like to do is when I get information, even when I was watching people like Alex Jones, for instance, I would keep the information in the back of my head. And when it's confirmed to me in a synchronicity kind of moment, when it's confirmed, maybe about 5 years down the line or so, then I will know, you know what? That was either some bullshit. That was some bullshit. I'll even say it. That was some bullshit. Or that was actually really factual news. Like I will go back and be like, you know what? I see where I remember watching something or I remember reading something because I'm not always just watching the conspiracies. I read certain things. I have a lot of knowledge. You have a lot of knowledge. And you can learn a lot more from things. Nothing is ever new under the sun. And every single thing that's done in the dark, it will always come to the light. So at the end of the day, any bit of information that's kept secret from you, it will always come to the light. And you could look back at it and just be like, you know what? I remember when I watched a video or when I read a book about this, and now it's starting to click. So now I could go a little bit deeper and figure out this and figure out that. And the way that you maintain things is to keep yourself informed. It's also to keep the knowledge that you have and store it and just evolve a little bit better. And take bits of information day by day. It's not good to keep so much information to overfill your head because then everything will come, your reality, your ego will come crashing down. And you have to slowly crash things down. Right, last year in 2020, I started to discover that there were a lot of people that were discovering things that I had discovered 6 years prior. And it's not just one person, but it was just a lot of people because 2020 was like an ego killer for some people. It was literally a DMT trip for people to be like, whoa, what kind of new world am I in? But this was what was 6 years or 7 years of information for me was a whole day's worth of information for them. And people can overload on information on stuff like that, on any kind of information that's brought to them. People can overload and they can shut down, and that's that's not good. I definitely don't think that is a recipe for disaster, and I think that that's the reason why you can't have all that information to you. And just to play devil's advocate, is when it comes to the information that is kept secret from us and created out of conspiracy theories by regular people, is because we can't hold all of that information. There has to be an entity of people that ultimately will always have to remain some form of secrecy and keep things hidden from us, ultimately. Because the universe is vast. The universe is so infinite, full of information. And we're trying to cram so much information on planet Earth, which is so small compared to billions and billions of light years away from us. So, with that being said, always take everything with the tiniest bit of grain of salt and a whole lot of discernment, and you will be able to factually understand every conspiracy, every bit of information that is brought to you with a guy on YouTube or somebody on the television, the news perhaps, or somebody on social media. With all that being said, thanks for joining me today on Moving Forward Initiative. I hope that you enjoyed